In the language of the first Minnesotans, the Dakota people of Minnesota Makoche, that's a greeting which means, hello, my relatives. With a good heart, I greet all of you with a handshake.
On Wednesday, April 5th, Minnesota Senator Gary Dahms and Representative Chris Swedzinski hosted a meeting at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Granite Falls.
The area out here, this lobby area, the speakers will be going on out there, so you'll be able to hear, of course, but not see.
The meeting was to hear public comment on a proposed bill to return roughly 1,400 acres of the Upper Sioux Agency State Park land to the Upper Sioux community. At the risk of oversimplifying history, this Dakota homeland was ceded by Dakota representatives as part of the 1851 Treaty of Traverse des Sioux between the Dakota people and the United States government. But treaty commitments weren't fulfilled and the land wasn't paid for by the United States. Upper Sioux Community Chairman Kevin Jensvold has spent his 18 years as chairman trying to get the land returned. The panelists present to answer questions were Chairman Jensvold, Scott Reimheld and Ann Pierce from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Ben Leonard and David Callaher from the Minnesota Historical Society, Granite Falls Mayor Dave Smigluski, and John Behrens, Yellow Medicine County District 2 Commissioner.
So our request to the state, and if we leave the Upper Sioux community out of what that bill is requesting, there's $5.3 million that is requested on behalf of the state of Minnesota and their citizens to create a new place for recreation opportunities for the citizens of Minnesota and any guests. To replace this park, which, if you leave everything else aside, the condemnation of the building and the disrepair of the road, only makes sense.
Many of the questions had to do with communication moving forward and how people will be notified of subsequent actions related to this bill and the replacement land. Other questions had to do with the ability for non-tribal members to recreate on the land should the bill pass.
I have one question for the reservation community. Will any of the resource be available? Because not only did I dig there, but I've camped at the campground on the river several times.
Thank you for your question, sir. That's one of the questions been posed many, many times to us, and as a tribal council, we haven't really come to terms with the potential that exists that's in front of us at the moment. But we do know this: it will be treated in a respectful and solemn manner for all peoples to remember what occurred there and to make sure that it's memorialized in an accurate way, because we truly don't agree with this term recreation as it applies to that land. I made testimony at the Senate, or I believe at the House. I says, I want to leave you with a picture. In the same place that people are there having a Sunday picnic, smiling and having a wonderful time, is the same place where our ancestors were starved to death, where the children and the old people, ultimately died at that place. So if you could at least accept that as something you can relate to, you will see why it shouldn't be a place of recreation, but should be a place of reverence.
The words I use, like genocide, like concentration camps, like broken treaties, all of this is pertinent to this area.
Another issue at hand is the Land and Water Conservation Fund, known as LawCon. LawCon is a federal law that says that any land developed or acquired with LawCon funds, like the state park, must be replaced if it's converted or transferred. As of this time, where that replacement land is located is undetermined. Ann Pierce from the DNR said that there will be a year of community engagement opportunities to help determine where that land will be located.
What I laid out previously is not that there is a loss of those values, but there is a replacement of those values.
Senate Bill 2250 is being carried by DFL Senator Mary Kunesh, who represents parts of Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties. She's the first Indigenous woman to serve in the Minnesota Senate. The Walz administration fully supports this bill.
I stated early on that on January 20th of 2022, the Upper Sioux Community made a request to Representative Swedzinski to sponsor this bill for the return of the state park to the Upper Sioux Community. We also attempted to contact Senator Dahms, and we were unsuccessful.
And just to clarify, when I was approached by Chairman Jensvold, I didn't carry the bill, right? When we realized that this was actually something that wasn't just a bill of the 5,000 that get dropped in the state legislature, it was one that was actually going to move forward. Not just a conversation, but something that would likely happen. And I'm sad that we're the ones picking up sticks here as your state rep and senator here. But that's what we're doing.
Some attendees conveyed frustrations about not having previous opportunities to weigh in on the process, especially as it relates to access of the land and the location of the replacement acres.
I'm all for the land transfer, but this comes down to the government screwed up here again, the legislators. This should have came first. This meeting right here should have came first. How can anybody make up their mind without having this meeting first?
Not a one of us are responsible for what happened there, but all of us can be responsible for what happens moving forward. And the citizens of Minnesota can get a new recreational opportunity, and some justice can be restored to the Dakota people. And as Mayor Smigluski said about a win-win situation, I think that that's at least some semblance of being just and being fair.
Panelists said to reach out to local officials with questions and for information on meetings on the replacement land. For more info, check out these websites.